Okay, I think it's time I made a video about this. Barbados is weird, but in a good, strange way. I don't know how to explain this, but before you understand what I mean by Barbados is weird, let me first give you context. First of all, for people who are close to me and you're watching this video, you will know that I always regularly talk about how I love Barbados. I love Barbados and I summarize it for one reason, and mainly that one reason. Every other thing I love about Barbados falls under this one reason. And what is that? Barbados is a country that works. That is just the summary of how I feel about Barbados. Now, I'm not saying that Barbados is paradise, because this is something that I notice whenever I make videos like this or comments like this. There's always going to be that one guy in the comment section that is saying, oh well, Barbados is not different from every other country. It has its flaws, blah, blah, blah. If I was looking for paradise, or if I wanted to talk about paradise, I'll be talking about heaven, not a country on earth. I understand that Barbados has issues that the government is still working on. We wouldn't be having a government trying to make the country better if the country was already perfect. That is the function of a government, to try to see how they can improve the country, right? But the reason I say Barbados is a country that works is because there is something that I've seen in Barbados that Barbados does very well that very few other countries on earth do. Barbados is a country that is actually focused on progress. If you take, and this is coming from my mind that likes to look at data and likes to look at empirical evidence most of the time, but if you look at data coming from as far back as 2021, 2020, even before the COVID, you will notice that Barbados has been making steady progress in the economy, in things like job security, in literacy rate, in so many quantifiable areas. Barbados has been making significant, steady progress. And more importantly, Barbados has managed to solve a problem that many countries that are much bigger than Barbados, much more known than Barbados, are still struggling with. And that is the problem of deep-seated corruption. Now, corruption is one of the things that, if your country is rather unfortunate to still be dealing with it in 2026, then you will notice some very glaring and obvious signs that your country is not moving forward, right? Corruption affects everything in a country. It affects the electricity, the education, the agriculture, safety and security, even the economy. Corruption is something that once it enters into your country, your only responsibility as a president, as a prime minister, as the king, whatever your government structure is, if you are at the top of that government structure, your primary responsibility should be to root it out immediately. However, in many countries that corruption exists, you find out that the politicians are the main people behind corruption. Now, I'm not talking about corruption where you're just referring to neglect or, maybe, would I say, abuse of power? Like, these things are bad. Like, when I'm talking about neglect and abuse of power, I'm not saying that these things are good. I mean, they're bad, but they're not even as bad as what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about when I say corruption is when there is a national budget, right? Something is budgeted for the country to use to develop schools, hospitals, roads, things like that. And instead of that amount of money to be used on the country, a single individual puts the money, the country's money, the taxpayers' money, inside his personal bank account and distributes it to his family members and his friends and spends it on whatever he likes, right? This might seem far-fetched. It might seem strange to many of you who are living in Barbados or who are citizens of Barbados or who are watching from another country where the government works. But if at any point in time you have had the opportunity or the exposure or the experience, the opportunity to research and read about the life experiences from countries where the government does not work, my goodness, it is horrendous, to say the very least. So, when you look at these things that I'm talking about, when you look at the education in Barbados, when you look at the literacy rate, when you look at electricity and 24 hours electricity, it seems like it's just normal. But when you actually go on the internet, you see that there are dozens of countries where thousands and tens of thousands of people do not have steady electricity. They can have just 4 hours of electricity in an entire week or an entire month, right? But when you look at Barbados and you see electricity, education, agriculture, there is general sense of safety and security. Barbados is not fighting wars. It's not dealing with terrorist attacks. You don't have random shootings and bombings like every single day. There are many countries that are struggling with that right now as we speak. And the economy of Barbados keeps going up. These are numbers that are not just things that the government is saying, but they are independently verifiable, right? You know that the country works. And anytime you see, a problem in the country or a mistake or, miscalculation or whatever you want to call it, that comes up in the country or in the government or anything, you understand that the people who are there, like there are actually people who are there that believe that what they are doing is for the best of the country. Is that even correct English? It's for the best of it's for the betterment of the country. I don't know what I'm speaking anymore. But the point I'm trying to make, is that they are not doing it to just steal money, right? They're not just trying to enrich themselves. There is a politician that says, we should do this because this is going to benefit the country. And another politician says, well, no, I don't think your idea is good. I think we should do this instead because I think this will benefit the country. Both of them actually genuinely want the best for the country. And they are working towards it and they are making plans towards it. Do you understand? This is something you don't see in many countries. This is a luxury that Barbados is blessed to have. And I think part of the reason why Barbados is so fortunate is because Barbados has created the perfect government system. An intelligent system where you have a 99.9% literacy rate population intelligently voting people into power that they believe have the best interests of the country. I think that is where Barbados solved the problem of government, honestly speaking. Because I think part of the problem that many countries have is that the people are just not able to get the information they need to make the correct decision. I think that is the main problem. I could be wrong, but I think that's the problem. If you cannot read and you cannot write and you cannot spell your name, you don't even know how to logically analyze the manifestos and the policies of the government that you're voting in, then clearly you are more likely to be manipulated and swindled into making the wrong decision. But in Barbados now, with a 99.9% literacy rate, everybody who is of voting age can read. Everybody who is of voting age can write. Most people can analyze what they're seeing and what they're reading. Most people know what to expect when they make certain decisions. Most people know how to hold a government accountable for its actions. And that is why when the decision is made, it is usually a good decision for the good of the nation. Okay? But at the same time, I'm going to make a different video about the government and how I think Barbados formed this government. I'm going to make a different video about that. I don't know when, but stay tuned. But right now, I think that has also created some weird things that you will notice only in Barbados. At least for me, I'm not very widely traveled. I've been to 4 countries, I think. So I don't know. I mean, there are over 190 countries in the world and I've been to only 4. So I am not the best judge. But you tell me in the comment section if this kind of weirdness happens in all the countries you've been to or countries you know about. The first one that I noticed first in Barbados is that when you meet homeless people on the streets, they speak proper English. You should try this. Now, Barbados doesn't have a very serious homelessness problem. There are a lot of people. I think the last study I saw, or the last is it called the census or whatever data I saw on this issue, there were less than 150 people living on the streets, right? And it's still a lot of people, but 150 people living on the street all over Barbados means that you're going to see like one person, 1 or 2 people in an entire region who live on the streets. So you're not going to meet a lot of them, which is a good thing. And we have all these organizations that are helping. They're also helping people to move into shelters and to rehabilitate them for, whatever is the reason they're homeless. They're helping them, right? So you're not going to meet a lot of them. But when you do meet them, these people are very, very well spoken. I have met, and this is not to shame formal education, right? This is not to make people feel ashamed. But I have met people with bachelor's degrees, right? People with bachelor's degrees. Some of the people that I went to school with and they graduated. And they are not as well spoken as these homeless people in Barbados. Now, when you have homeless people in your mind, the way the media has portrayed it, you expect to see someone who is completely disheveled, who cannot string together sentences, and if they're making sentences, they're poor sentences and stuff like that, and they're rambling most of the time, incoherent, and you have to try to understand what they're saying. That's not the case in Barbados. It's not. In Barbados, these people, you need to just have like a 5-minute conversation with one of these people, right? And it's also a good thing if you can just, get them something to eat, because they're human beings. This is something I don't understand. I've met some people who tell me, well, don't give them stuff. They're just beggars. And I'm like, yeah, that's why you should give them stuff, right? Because if they're beggars, it means that they don't have stuff. So you give them stuff. If they're hungry, you give them food to eat. And if they're thirsty, you give them drink, right? That's what you do. If they had it, they wouldn't be begging. It just makes sense to me. I don't know why it doesn't make sense to people, right? But anyway, when you decide that you want to help them and you want to give them something and you go and you want to have a conversation with them, they're going to tell you elaborate stories. Now, many of these stories are made up, right? They're just making up some stories so that they can get some money from you or some food from you. Because, if you're living on the street, you have to be creative in order to always get food to eat and money for the things you want to buy, right? So you have to be creative. So you know that many of the stories they're telling you are creative. Some are going to be true. Most of them are going to be lies. But the amount of genius that these people have. And I was talking to my friend the other day about it. I was like, is it because of the literacy rate that these people are able to be so magnificently eloquent? Look, it sounds like they're just speaking normal English, right? But the reason I'm praising it so much is because this is not how the stereotypical person living on the streets, homeless person, is supposed to sound like or talk like. Many graduates do not form sentences like this, and this guy is doing it. That is, I think, but I'm not very sure, obviously, but I think is because Barbados has such a high literacy rate. So by the time you make certain life choices or certain circumstances happen to these people and they are on the streets, they already have excellent reading, writing, and speaking skills. And so they're not just like the average, someone else in another country where they didn't go to school and they didn't learn how to read or write. No, these people are good already before they find themselves on the streets. And that is a peculiarity that I've only seen in Barbados. Only in Barbados. All right. So what's the next one? And I think this one is part of the reason why I say Barbados just works. The Prime Minister of Barbados usually, very regularly, just sits down in a hall, invites people, Bajans, people living in Barbados, to just talk about the country. The first time I watched it, I didn't know what was going on. I was like, you mean to tell me quite literally the highest office in Barbados, I'm not sure if I'm getting that right, or one of the highest offices in Barbados, literally the Prime Minister of Barbados, is just sitting down and discussing with the people to learn more about how the country can move forward, what the people need. Usually, leadership just decides something and decrees it to the people. That's how I've always known government to be. And maybe that is why you don't have a lot of countries that work, because they imagine what they think the people need and they just plan for it and put it into effect without even consulting the people who could be in need. But in this format, you see people talking about, you should watch it's on YouTube. That's another thing. They stream it on YouTube and I think on Facebook as well. You should watch one of them. And you just see people talk about de-education, cleanliness of the country, roads, taxes, random things. And the Prime Minister is answering, and sometimes people need further assistance or they need to take a particular issue forward in some way, and she's going to direct them. Okay, you should talk to this minister and he's in charge of this and this and this, and he's going to handle it, he's going to take it from there. And she's actually on top of her game, and she's actually listening to people. Let me tell you something. if you're not getting why this is so fantastic to me, why this is like a dream to me, is because in most countries, you will never be in the same room with the president ever in your life until the day you die. You will never be in the same vicinity with the Prime Minister until the day you die. It will never happen, right? So, seeing a country where you're not just in the same room, but you actually get to ask questions and get responses. Now that I just found fascinating. And I think that's part of why the country works, right? Because the people in government are not just imagining what they think the people will need. They're actually listening to the people and responding to their needs. Okay, the last one I'm going to talk about now is Rihanna. Rihanna is an enigma. Rihanna is somebody I don't understand in Barbados. Let me paint the picture for you. Rihanna is the first billionaire in Barbados. The first Barbadian billionaire. Rihanna is also a member of the Order of National Heroes. Rihanna is the 11th national hero, one of only 2 national heroes that are still alive in Barbados. The other one is Garfield Sobbers. So the proper name and title for Rihanna is the Right Excellent Robin Rihanna Fenty. Having said all of this, what I don't understand is that Barbados has reached such a level of civilization that this person I just described can walk on the streets in Barbados, enter into a random bus in Barbados, go where she wants to go, do what she wants to do, and get back home without paparazzi disturbing her, without she needing like bulletproof guards and military men or private security following her or whatever. She just exists like a normal citizen, and Bajans are civilized enough to let her be in her country. I don't get it. In many countries, in many other countries, if somebody is that famous and that rich, they cannot be that free in their country. They're either scared for their life or they are always bombarded by people. One of the two always happens, right? But the level of maturity, I think I'm going to call this civilian maturity, or the level of maturity of the civilization of Barbados is such that Rihanna she can actually enjoy being on the island in her hometown without private security, without worrying about millions of paparazzi following, without fans drowning her and encroaching into her private space and all of that. And all of these things are simply because Barbados is a country that works. Barbados is a country that works. In a country that works, you expect to see all sorts of things that will seem weird to you if you come from a country that doesn't work, or if you're not used to seeing how things are done in a country that works, if you're not used to experiencing life in a country that works, right? And that's all I have for you today. I'm going to be making videos every multiple times a week. Don't mind my English. Just know that you have to subscribe, like the video, and come back every multiple times a week. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.